So I'll let you know the recording is now in progress. And it's my problem. We'll go ahead and start, I guess. Are we ready?
He's ready.
What time is it? 1:24. Okay. I look okay. Thank you very much. In 5, 4, 3, 2, episode 333 on the Church Solutions podcast. My name is Phil Thompson.
And I'm Steve Lacy.
See, I got the episode this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
333 and easy to remember.
That's right. I'll get it. So I get it once in a while. I get it right once in a while. Episode 333 on our podcast that we have been doing for many moons, actually doing more episodes than that, but this is where the count is. How are you today, Steve?
Doing just wonderful.
All right. Good. Good to know. And it's a windy day. We've had windy days here in Tucson. That's part of the
I went to my dermatologist and he confirmed I did not have leprosy. So that was a good thing.
Oh, that is a good thing. I would have had to lay hands on you. Actually,
Yes.
maybe not such a good idea. You didn't. So, all right. Now, so you just said that. So now you got to tell everybody, well, why did you just say you don't have leprosy?
Anyway, I had an unusual rash break out on my torso. And so decided to go to the doc. And oddly enough, I have all the weird diseases. And he asked me if I was sick with a cold or something about 3 weeks ago. And I thought about it. And I go, I was. And he goes, this rash is due to that cold or that whatever infection I had, nasal infection. He said he named it, but I can't repeat it because those correct names. But he said it'll take a couple of weeks and it should go away. Most people, he said.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day. It's interesting that you get some kind of a rash from having a cold. I mean, I
was looking at him like he was crazy too. Like, why do you care? And it's supposedly anyway, it starts as a one spot and one big spot, and then you get a bunch of little ones that spread out from there. So,
all right. Well, we'll have to do it.
Enough about me.
Yeah, I'll have to do a podcast about that with more details. So, you weren't down in Mexico. Like last week, we had Mike on here, our coworker, and he was we were doing it. We do this with Zoom. We're all over the map here. And he was down in Mexico doing the podcast with us, but you weren't down in Mexico. So
no,
not that I have anything against Mexicans or Mexico, but sometimes you can get stuff down there that, you're not necessarily, but
you get Montezuma's revenge. I don't know if you get a rash down there. That'd be
depends.
Kind of
weird. It depends. All right. So today we are going to talk about the topic is called, Are You Ready? And it's pertaining to Easter. Easter's coming up this weekend. So we're going to get this podcast out right away. So people have plenty of time to follow up on the things that we talk about today on the Church Solutions podcast. Are you ready? So,
you have 7 ideas to make sure your team is ready.
I have 7 ideas. And, when I was writing this last week, I thought, well, COVID's dissipating and, the pandemic's starting to, I'm looking in Arizona's one of them. There's more cases popping up in the East and here in Arizona of COVID. So I don't know what to say, but I wrote this because I was thinking, well, more and more people are going to start coming to church now since the pandemic has subsided to some degree. And I don't know. It depends on what part of the country you're in. So regardless, let's talk a little bit about this. Easter's coming up. Normally, one of the most attended Sundays of the year for churches. Christmas is the other one. So you got some great opportunities here to reach people, to connect with people. So are you ready? Let's talk about some things that you should be doing this Easter for this Easter service, shall we?
We shall.
All right.
So number 1 on our list, put be intentional. What do you
So,
mean by that?
so what I mean by that is really give it some thought. If you haven't already, you still have a few days left. Give it some thought on what's going on in the service. I mean, we're talking about details here. If you're a senior pastor or a leader that's not real detail oriented, let somebody who has details handle this. But you want to make sure that you have everything set up right, that you've got people in place. People understand the importance of this Sunday, and quite frankly, it's a big deal. So you need to make a big deal about it, and you need to make sure that you've got people that are in the right position and to reach out, and greeters, people maybe helping with the parking lot. We'll get to the AV team here in a moment. Children's workers, make sure that you're intentional, that everybody's understanding, what the vision is and what you're trying to accomplish this particular Sunday and the Sundays beyond.
Yeah, you mentioned in our notes that all hands on deck. So this is,
Yeah.
like you said, one of the two biggest Sundays
Yeah.
of the year, which means you're gonna need
Yeah.
your best players and most of your players
Yeah.
to help pull it off. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into number two, the second point about this thing. And the second point is, you want to ask people, your members, to really be willing to sacrifice, at least for this Sunday. And in other words, as we just said, this is important. And so, hopefully you've been prepping people in the weeks coming up to Easter here. But if you haven't been, you can start right away and start, sending out a newsletter talking about, what you want to accomplish here and why it's so important to be able to come a little early. Those who are volunteering, those who are involved, come a little early, help out again. You might need more workers in the children's area, maybe. So, ask people, hey, will you give a little bit of time this Sunday for whatever area of ministry it is in the church, in the facility, as well as online?
Yeah, I remember when we moved into our new facility, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And we quickly ran out of parking space, and just, things have kind of died down because we did a new construction, and the first several weeks they asked those that were more committed to the ministry to park in back and walk a little further. And,
right.
And maybe if you were volunteering, one Sunday a month, let's consider 2 or maybe 3 while you go through this thing. So this would be an opportunity to bring your people, to have them jump in and serve.
Right. And it's maybe not necessarily all volunteers, but for us, I would have people who I would ask regular attenders, hey, this particular Sunday, come sit in the front, because when new people come, where the new people normally go, they want to sit in the back. Most of them do. And so if all your regular people are hanging out in the back and they got all the seats in the back, then you're making the new people, or people that maybe don't come as often, have to get through everybody and sit up in the front, which for some people, that's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so, look, if you're a regular attender, get out of your comfort zone for a change and sit in the front, so that there's seats in the back. So the new people newer people can be in the back and be a little comfortable where they're not, they're in their comfort zone.
Yeah. Or thing that happens at our church a lot is best seats are on the aisle, right? So they'll come and, here's an aisle seat, and then everyone's got to walk over you to get to the seats that are available in the middle. So yeah,
we've done that too. We've said the same thing, and it goes with parking too, right? I mean, hey, park in the back, or park somewhere that, let the newer people have a closer parking space. And the place I used to be a part of, when I was working part-time as executive director of this church, and we actually had a lot next door that was like an overflow lot. And I asked everybody, hey, this Easter, you guys who are regular attenders, park in the overflow lot. Yeah, you got to walk another 30 feet, or 40 feet, maybe a little more, maybe it was 60 feet. But, so that way the people that come have good parking spaces, close to the facility, close to the doors. And, this is what I'm talking about when I say sacrifice. Ask your people to sacrifice. What can they do so that they make newer people a little more comfortable? So it's easier for new people to come and have a good experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. So number 3 on our list for prepping for Easter.
Yeah. Number 3, and this is primarily directed towards the speaker, the senior pastor, the person that's giving the message, the talk, the sermon, whatever you want to call it. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. So Easter, is a wonderful time. People will come. And there's a tendency, because if you've been a pastor for a while, there's a tendency like, okay, Easter, here we go again, Easter. I've been doing this now for 25 years, Easter. And so there's a tendency sometimes to try to spice it up a little bit or try to do something a little different. And I'm not saying you don't get creative, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you can overthink it and you can take the simplicity, so to speak, out of the Easter message.
Right. You don't want to gimmick it up, huh?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm all for creativity. Maybe a good video or something. If you use videos, I think everybody should use videos once in a while in their messages, some illustrations, those kind of things. I'm not saying you don't do some of that stuff, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes you can just overthink things enough where you just miss the message. You miss the message of Easter, the message of the resurrection, the hope, that people want to have.
It's a pretty good message all on its own. So don't get in the way, huh?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and look, as somebody who, I've given lots of Easter messages as a senior leader and what have you. And, you get tired. I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes you get a little tired of it. You get this fatigue, okay, this is the topic again. We're on Easter again. And you got to remember, not everybody hears that all the time, And so when you give people the Easter message, it's simple, message of hope, message of power, message of overcoming, those kind of things people need to hear, especially in the age we're in right now, where there's just been a lot of struggles the last 2 or 3 years, because of the pandemic and everything that goes along with it. So the message of hope, the message of overcoming, the message of strength, those kind of things are important. So don't overthink it.
All right. So number 4 is make sure your AV team is up to speed.
Make sure the audio video team is up to speed. So sometimes you'll have some extra things going on for Easter. And again, there's a tendency to try to get creative. And again, nothing wrong with that. But you may have a special video. I don't know. You may have some special images. There may be even, I don't know, special music, maybe special guests that are going to be on the platform. And if your AV team, if your audio video team, and this includes people doing the streaming, if they're not ready for this and you just throw it on them Sunday morning, hey, we're going to do this now, we're going to do that, we're going to throw this up. If they're not ready for it, it can spell disaster. You got to run the video and the video doesn't run, or it doesn't load, or something happens, or the image comes out backwards, or if you have somebody coming up to do a testimony that normally you don't have somebody get up and talk besides the senior leader, the senior pastor, that person gets up, the mic isn't on, or the mic is on, but it's those kind of things that if your audio video team is not ready and don't have some time to practice, it cannot be a good experience for people who are either watching the stream or, sitting there in the congregation.
Yeah. And we've had, sometimes you can get really fancy with this, and maybe Easter's not the best time to get super complicated, but yeah, we've done even remote baptisms using two-way calls that are streamed and piped into the sanctuary and then also fed into the stream, and just, all kinds of
I was part of that
things.
one time.
Oh, yeah.
I walked around with a camera in my head. I don't know if you remember that, Bob.
Oh, I do remember that.
I was walking around the building. I don't know.
Yeah, and we were streaming both there and showing it in the sanctuary. There's
Yeah.
the level of complication, especially if you're going to do something very special. You want to make sure that, I mean, you're adding variables to the equation of things that can go wrong. So you want to make sure that you do the adequate testing and make sure that everything's in order.
Yeah, even if it's not overly complicated, just adding a couple extra things, it can, especially with the pressure of Easter and a lot of activity going on, it can really create tension and stress for the people having to implement that stuff. So even extra images, I mean, stuff that you might think, oh, this is easy, they can do this, or they can, we can wire up so and so to get up and do a testimony. If they're not ready for it, it can create stress, and again, as I said, it just does not make for an overall good experience for everybody.
Yeah. So number 5, and I think a lot of churches do this, and I think it's a great thing to do, which is start a new message series on Easter. And so why would one want to start a brand new series on Easter?
Yeah. So when we say message series, we're talking about, 4 or 5 messages, maybe about a specific topic, maybe more, maybe less.
Aren't most churches? I don't know.
No,
most churches doing teaching in series where they say, oh, we're teaching on the book of Romans, or we're teaching on, whatever.
Some are. I think it's more than it used to be. I think, you and I have been experienced that all the time. That's what we did, topics and stuff. But I think the idea is, you're going to introduce, it's Easter Sunday. So, I don't know, you let's say you do a series on hope, and so hope today in today's pandemic world or whatever, and so you could make that, Easter is always all about hope. And so you could say, hey, we're kicking off a brand new series today. We're talking about hope for you. And we're going to continue to talk about different aspects of hope in the next few weeks. So thanks for coming here for Easter, and come back, come back. And the idea is you ask, why do it? Well, the idea is, bring people back. So do a good job on the series topic, whatever that might be.
And do a good job on that first one.
Yeah, do a good job.
Easter service. Easter service. So they want to go, how does this thing end? Let's come back next time.
Yeah. And have them come back for more. And so, I mean, it's something that instead of just jumping around, and you could do it in a book. Yeah, you could do something in a specific book in the Bible, but kick it off and then give people reasons to come back. And I think that when you do that, it really, it really adds to the experience. And again, it's an opportunity for people to say, yeah, I'm going to check this out again. That was a good topic. That was interesting. It really helped me. It fit the needs of my family, and we're going to come back and hear some more.
All right. Yep. Sounds good. So number 6, make people feel welcome.
Yeah. So you probably see my notes here, but
I do see your notes here. So why wouldn't we make them feel welcome?
Well, so, I am the master of sarcasm. It's a spiritual gift. No, it's not. I had a guy I worked with. He hated my sarcasm. I think his dad was sarcastic or something, so it triggered him. But it's easy, it's easy to get up there if you're a senior leader and go, it's really great to see some of you guys after the past 6 months or a year, glad you finally made it for another Easter service. And what I'm getting at is it's easy to kind of jump on people because they only come to church twice a year,
Yeah.
and so it's easy to kind of passive aggressively get on there and make them feel kind of bad because you want to see them more often and you think they should be coming more often. And so it comes out in something that you say or the way you say it. And look, it's easy to do. I mean, I'm good at that, and I have to be careful about that. And so you want to make people feel welcome. And by that, I mean, it's, it starts not just in your talk and what in your sermon is, but it also carries on into the parking lot, the greeters, the children's workers, and you want to do your best to enable them to have a good experience. And I think if you can do that, it will really.
Yeah. And we've got or you're much closer to, there's someone, that does the, what do they call it? Hidden visitor stuff.
Secrets. They used to call it the secret shopper, I think.
That was this. Yeah. He did the secret shopper, but there was actually a magazine that I get, I don't know, but they always had an article in the back where they were interviewing first-time people from Church XYZ.
Yeah.
And they go through from, like you said, they said, well, I had a hard time finding the parking spot because they didn't know where to do this. And the signs were all, knocked down. And then I got in, and there was a guy there ushering, but he seemed too interested in talking with his buddies. So I went around, didn't know where to take my kids. And, it's a lot of stuff happens before they get in the sanctuary and get to listening to the pastor's message. So it's a thing that everyone can participate in. And they would, they get to the point, the pastor's message was great. And as we left, we met these people that were really good, but I'm not coming back because, the greeter out front was too busy to talk to me.
Well, unfortunately it does happen. And I remember I started this church in Kansas, and I started with 4 families, and they had been involved in a church before us, and they just were not used to visitors. And so it took a long time, but we, I think, succeeded. And actually, if I really want to get real here, I had the same issue with a local community here in town that I took over, a few years ago, that I didn't take over. I was their executive pastor. It was kind of the same thing. They weren't used to visitors. And so when somebody new would come in, like you said, somebody be in a corner talking to their buddy, talking about the weekend or talking about the game, And so it took a little bit of effort and energy, actually quite a bit, to help people focus on, hey, look, this is Sunday morning, new people are showing up, focus on them. You can always get with your buddies later or during the week or whatever, but this is a time to really reach out to people that are coming. So give them some attention, don't smother them, but at least make yourself available to them. And I saw that in several groups that I worked with over the years.
It's one of the advantages, not many advantages, but there's an advantage of being a smaller church, right? Because you can, most of the time, it used to be that way at my church, where it was, you could just tell, like, oh, here's a new person. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and go talk to them. But now, once you get to be a bigger church, you're like, Or you run up to somebody and go, oh, I've never seen you around. You must be a first timer. They go, no, I've been coming here for 10 years. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I even had this issue too. We always had a lot of visitors, and I would greet somebody and I couldn't remember if I knew them or not. And so I would just say, hi. So, I would just kind of play it by ear. I go, so, help me understand, help me remember now. I would try to fish without being too obvious, but yet I didn't want to be insulting either, to see if they had been here before, because I've had the same issue. I've shaken hands and said, oh, you're new here? No, I've been coming for the last 6 months. And it's like, oh, sorry. So, there's tactful ways to do it. But the bottom line is, try to pay attention, and everybody needs to be a part of this, not just the senior leaders or the ushers and greeters. Everybody should be a part of this. Make people feel welcome. Go out of your way to help people find the bathroom or the children's area.
All right. And then like number 7 on our list.
Yeah. Number 7. And by the way, all these, we're talking about Easter here, but all this stuff is applicable, right? Every Sunday, really, it's applicable.
Yeah.
All right. So number 7 on our ways to, as we ask the question, are you ready? Number 7, plan a follow-up. Plan a follow-up. Now, we have beat this horse to death the last probably 2 or 3 months here on this podcast and in our blog articles, but follow-up is so important to people. And we talked, I think, was it last week here on this podcast, and it's I think on our blog, right? blog.streamingchurch.tv. We talked about connection card. You really
Okay,
need to
what
have
to
a,
put on it.
what to
The
put on it.
the four things you need to put on the connection
Yeah,
card.
good,
Yes.
good memory. So, connection card, communication card, I don't know, visitors card, whatever you want to call it. But you should have one of those ready. If you missed the podcast last week, you can listen to it or read the blog. But you want to follow up. You want to be able to get people's information in a non-threatening way. So you want to have a welcome center somewhere in your facility where people know, hey, I can go here to get more information. I can go here to, Mike was talking about giveaways, maybe if
Yeah,
you're here for the first time.
or provide some feedback on the service. We want to hear from you. Kind of
Yeah.
like, everybody's, not everyone, but a lot of people are used to like commenting on a YouTube video. So provide those,
Yeah.
ask for that feedback and provide an opportunity for them to,
Right. Yeah.
to
So,
contribute.
but plan. The key word here is plan, because it's not going to happen automatically. So you want to have some kind of a plan or strategy. Okay, if we get 5 new people this Sunday or 5 new families, what are we going to do with this? Okay, if we get their information, hopefully we have something, an email address or something. Who's following up? How are we going to do it? There's lots of information out there that we have, as well as other people have, about how to have an effective follow-up. And take advantage of it, because again, this is a great opportunity. Easter Sunday is a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, those are the top 7 ideas to prep you for Easter.
The top 7 things. So we'd love to get your feedback. I haven't asked for it lately, but if you've got some other ideas, folks, give it to us. support@streamingchurch.tv. That's one of our companies, one of our products, I should say. And, we're all about helping churches. It's not just about streaming video, but we have lots of features and tools with mobile apps, and we have My Church Daily. So if you get a chance, check out mychurchdaily.com. And this gives you the opportunity to be on Amazon Alexa devices. You can do a flash briefing. You can connect with your people every day of the week with a short little flash briefing. Easy to do, mychurchdaily.com. Check it out. And by all means, please subscribe to our podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Look for Church Solutions Podcast, and we are on just about everywhere. I don't know, are we on Amazon yet, or did we get on there?
I assume we're everywhere Apple picks you up, and then everyone else just takes Apple's list.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I know we had to get on Spotify. We had to do Spotify. We were on Spotify, and I think we're trying to get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has some kind of a platform or something, and I'm not sure if we're on Amazon or not, but we should be. So anyhow, Church Solutions Podcast, subscribe to us, and again, like us. Give us a little review. We'd love to hear from you, because we try to do this to help churches and people involved in churches. So there you have it.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Steve Lacy, thank you so much for your input today.
Glad to be here.
And most of all, thank you, folks, for listening to another episode of the Church Solutions Podcast. Please take care of yourself and each other, and we'll catch you next time. Until then.